Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another video. In this one, we're going to take a look at a brand new Planeswalker entering the vault, Luka Coppercoat Outcast. Or is it Percival Graves, aka Grindelwald, from Fantastic Beasts? I don't know. There's a pretty striking similarity, isn't there? Anyways, Luka, aka Grindelwald, is all about monsters. So all of the abilities are generally about monsters and exile. So let's take a look at Luka at level 60, and then we're going to take a look at Luka at levels 1 and level 30, and we're going to get to see some gameplay with Luka Coppercoat Outcast. So at level 60, Luka's got 117 health. He's got the same mana bonuses as the Elspeth that came out Sun's Nemesis from Theros Beyond Death with the +4/4/3 and then 2 -1s. The 2 +4s for Luka are going to be red and black. The +3 is going to be white, and the -1s are going to be blue and green. Now for Luka's 3 abilities, the first one is called Monster Recruitment, and at level 60 it's going to cost 9 loyalty, and you'll be able to pick one of the first 4 cards from your library. You fetch that card and then exile the rest. Then that card is going to gain X mana, where X is the number of cards of that type in your exile. So let's say that you chose to fetch a spell and you had 9 spells in your exile. Then that card would gain 9 mana. Now, Luka, like the other Planeswalkers in Ikoria, is going to have a companion ability. Luka's companion will be active if your deck contains 4 or more non-human creatures. So if you have that companion active, then when you use that first ability, Monster Recruitment, if the card that you fetch is a creature, it gets a permanent +3/+3. And if it's not a creature, it gains Cycling 3. The second ability, Feral Gorilla, is going to cost you 12 loyalty at level 60, and is going to exile target creature you control. Then fetch the first creature with the highest cost that is X or less from your library. Move that card to play under your control. X is 6 plus the exiled creature's cost. So unfortunately with Feral Gorilla, when you use the ability, because it says the highest cost that's X or less from your library, that means that you can fetch basically anything from your deck. You could throw away like a big creature and get a little creature in return. Or you could throw away a medium-sized creature and then get your little creature or just another copy of itself. So this one is a little bit of a random ability, right? Like you just don't quite know what you're going to get. And the third ability is called Predator's Squad. So your creatures get, it's going to cost 18 loyalty at level 60, and your creatures get +X/+X and gain double strike and menace. Then deal damage equal to the sum of your creature's power to your opponent's planeswalker. X is the number of creature cards in your exile. So I've been playing quite a lot with Luka over the past week, and Luka's your creatures get the +X/+X. That +X/+X is permanent, but it's really not going to do very much for you if you have a bunch of really strong cards to go with Luka. There are definitely some gimmicky decks that you can run, and you can get quite a lot out of that +X/+X from that. It does give the +X/+X before it does any of the other parts of this ability. So it's going to do that before it does the damage to your opponent's planeswalker. Now you definitely are going to actually want to have Luka at level 60, because at level 60 is when you get both double strike and the dealing damage equal to the sum of your creature's power to your opponent's planeswalker. I've had some turns where when I use this, the third ability, it wound up doing like 200 plus damage to my opponent. It's by far the most powerful ability on a mono red planeswalker. That Predator Squad is crazy, like especially if you have some really powerful creatures. So namely the Quartzwood Crasher. If you've got Quartzwood Crasher, this Predator Squad ability is going to be nutty for PvE, like absolutely nutty. So with that, let's take a look at one more thing. So this is the deck that I'm going to be using today, but I'm showing you this just so that you can actually see the limitations for Luka. Luka has pretty generous limitations in that you can have 7 creatures, 6 spells, and up to 6 supports. I really like that you can have up to 6 spells and 6 supports because it gives you a lot of flexibility with what you're going to do using Luka. So you've got a lot of deck building freedom with this Planeswalker. So let's go ahead and take a look at what Luka is like at levels 1 and 30. At level 1, when you pick Luka up, Luka is going to have 32 health. You will have access to none of his abilities. And your mana bonuses are going to be +2 to red and black, +1 to white, and -3 to both green and blue. When you get the first ability, or when you level up Luka and you unlock level 1 of each of his 3 abilities, Monster Recruitment is going to pick one of the first 3 cards from your library and fetch that card and exile the others. Feral Gorilla is going to exile a creature you control and then fetch the first creature with the highest cost of X or less from your library, where X is +3 to the exiled creature's cost. And Predator Squad is going to give all of your creatures +X and Menace, where X is the number of creature cards in your exile. So level 1 Predator Squad, not good. Level 30 Luka. The mana bonuses become +3, +3, +2, -3, -2. And then Monster Recruitment, Feral Gorilla, and Predator Squad are all going to be level 2. Monster Recruitment and Feral Gorilla are pretty much the same all the way throughout. And Predator Squad is now going to give them First Strike in addition to Menace. So this brings us to level 60 Luka again. If you pick up Luka, you're definitely going to want to get this guy to level 60. That Predator Squad ability, like I said, is really, really strong. Like really strong. So you're going to get to see a look of that in the gameplay. So let's just go ahead and hop on over to that gameplay. Alrighty, so for our gameplay, we're here up against 312 health Eldrazi Ugly. And so what we're really going to be hoping for is we want to get something like Whirlwind of Thought or Song of Creation down pretty quickly so that we can generate to our third ability with Luka. Remember, that third ability on Luka, and you're going to see it in this video, is just, it's really, really good. So we got a Pyromancer's Goggles in our starting hand now, or starting hand in our hand now. It's pretty good. We've got Killer Instinct, which means that we're going to be able to fetch into the Quartzwood, and there it is, which is great. So Quartzwood is going to be swinging in and giving us a token. Even though it's going to be giving us a token, we are going to be losing the Quartzwood this turn, which means that we're just going to need to get one more Quartzwood, you know, in one of these other turns coming up. So goodbye Quartzwood, but we still get a 9/9 out of it. That's fine. Eldrazi Ugly Man has got that 9/6 out, but really that's really not all that scary. We get another Quartzwood here, which is perfect. That just solidifies that our tokens are going to be alive forever. They're just going to keep smacking this dude. The white match is definitely going to be the best one because it's going to give us that option for that Cascade. And then that lets us use Genesis Ultimatum. And because we got a support with 25 mana, we know that we got Pyromancer's Goggles. So even though we gave up that 5 match, we've got a handful of goodness. So that's definitely going to have been worth it. We get our beautiful giant. So we've got all 3 of our critters. We got 2 Whirlwinds of Thought, which is great. That means that we're going to be drawing a bunch of cards and getting an absurd amount of loyalty this turn. And that tells me that because we've got all 3 of our creatures out, we should actually be able to use our third ability maybe next turn or the turn after. I'm going to hope for next turn though, because yeah, it's going to be next turn. Yeah, it would have to be because we're getting 12 loyalty for this and we already had 9 because we had our first ability unlocked. So yeah. Now here's Tectonic Giant. It's giving us the prompt. Do we want to fetch a card? I'm going to choose to have the other Tectonic Giant get exiled just so that there are some creatures in my exile for when I use that third ability. Do you need to have creatures in exile? No, not really. 1812 with Berserker. That was a bad choice. I've got to say that was a really bad choice, my dude. So here we're going to go ahead and use that third ability. And here's where you get to see that this just is absolute game over. Like imagine you're playing against a player here instead of an opponent that has like 300 and some odd health. We use our third ability, boom, 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 and immediately, not only do we give all of these beasts double strike, but we get to ping our opponent for 62. That's right, we just pinged that Eldrazi dude for 62 to the face. And on top of pinging the Eldrazi dude for 62 to the face, we're also going to be getting double strike on all these dudes, which means that the Crasher is going to be making double tokens and the Giant is going to be making double tokens also. So here we get to whap twice. We get to whap twice for 2 more of the dinosaur beasts. And then we're going to whap for 2 more dinosaur beasts. Now, unfortunately, that does mean that next turn is definitely going to be the end of our Eldrazi friend here. And even though we've got all of these beautiful cards in our hand that make it look like we might be able to use our third ability again and ping our opponent for well over 100 damage. That's not going to be the case here. So this brings us to the end of our merry video. Luka is very strong, as I haven't been able to play Luka in PvP. I can't say that I know where Luka is on the tier list. I'm going to guess somewhere around B. I'd put him higher, but you really need to have specifically like powerful cards for him. But if you've got them, this dude is ridiculous. Like, seriously, guys, ridiculous. You didn't see me use the first or second abilities because they're not great, but that third ability is a monster of an ability. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.